Okay, real quick before we get into today's episode, we're going to announce the winners of the podcast contest we had last week. And what did you learn from the episode? We had a lot of entries and a lot of funny ones and a lot of serious ones, I guess. But all right, in first place, I think you know this guy there, Rob.
Oh yeah.
Powell Floors wins a Bose speaker. Thank you very much, Bill. In second place, I hope I'm pronouncing your last name properly. Travis Thibodeau, Thiboutot, from T Squared Woodworking Skeletal. The skeletal tool. Hello. All right. And number three is Alex. No last name here, but he's with Resto Floor. Bento wins the bento box. I gotta Google that to see what that looks like. I still don't know what the hell it is. So those are the winners. We'll get into a little bit more of that in the episode after this one. But we just want to announce the winners. The grand prize going to Bill Powell. Okay, and now on to the episode. Hello and welcome to another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob. I'm Wayne Highlander with Bona Adhesives.
I'm Rob Johnson from the Bona Training.
How we doing, Rob?
Pretty good, bud. How's it going?
Good, doing very well. Hey, we got an exciting guest, a really knowledgeable guest with us today. So I think we'll probably jump right into it. We have Jason Ramsay with us today. Jason Ramsay, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. So, Jason, his company is a flooring inspector. Floordetective.com, correct?
OC Flooring Inspection is my website. I'm on Floor Detective though.
Gotcha. Okay, and the flooring floor prep and moisture problems Facebook page.
Yeah,
That's you as well, right?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and that's a lot of, so anybody that doesn't know that, flooring prep and moisture problems. It's a Facebook page headed up by Jason Ramsay. A lot of great information there. He's an inspector, so comes with a lot of knowledge. And I'll let you introduce yourself
Yeah,
after
cool.
I've done it for you.
Yeah, no problem. So yeah, I started in '93 as a carpet installer, and I worked my way up. Got my California Tile and Flooring license in 1999, and then went on my own there. Started my business and evolved to having employees and ups and downs. Being hands-on, working with my guys, and continually trying to elevate everybody. And I still have that installation company here today. And in my field, I've kind of evolved into trying to constantly get better. And so that it made sense for me to become an inspector. And then I became a concrete moisture testing technician. And I just had a thirst for knowledge and really wanted to learn all the ins and outs and be the best I could be.
Okay. So the reason I wanted to have you on is I was looking at the Facebook page, floor prep and moisture problems, and came across a post that you did, and I'm going to quote you here. This is okay, and
Yeah.
this is what we're going to talk about: square foot pricing. Race to the bottom. Let's talk about square foot pricing for flooring. On the surface, it seems like a simple, straightforward way to compare costs, but in reality, it's a slippery slope that leads to undervaluing quality, craftsmanship, and service. Here's why this approach hurts both customers and businesses. I thought that was a really interesting topic because it's an easy way for customers to do comparisons. All right, this guy's 350 a square foot, this guy 450 a square foot. Well, this guy must be a better value or whatever you. But and I like you opened up an interesting discussion about why that may not be the best way to do business. So maybe you're going to expound on that a little bit.
Well, definitely. I think it's there's a little bit of deception there, and possibly some baiting and switching that happens because when somebody's advertising maybe a square foot price, it's really not taking into account everything that it entails to provide a successful installation and with proper products. So maybe you're getting somebody in on a teaser rate per se, oh, it's 250 a square foot or something like that. Then when the estimate comes out, maybe it's broken down more deeper and it can cause some problems, or maybe it isn't. And so I feel like that right there does not help the end user or help our industry whatsoever. And when I mean it's a road to the bottom is because let's say you get a phone call, ring, ring, hi, yeah, what's your square foot price for wood floor install, right? All the time, you're getting these kind of tire kickers or just window shoppers, right? And that's really what that is. And so, or what are you supposed to say? Oh, well, it's 350. Okay, thank you. Or it's 550. Okay, thank you. Well, this person can do it cheaper. Oh, well, I can do it for 250, right? I mean, this just causes it's the worst thing. And then if you do play that game, what does that do to your credibility possibly? That makes you look like, oh, well, maybe you were trying to charge me more or whatever. And then it doesn't stop, right? Then they just want more. So, right there, I think that this square foot pricing, like I say, is a road to the bottom, does not help out the installer or the end user.
Yeah, and I think it's a disservice to yourself in a way. Let's say you're a really good contractor. You're very professional. You go above and beyond in your techniques and everything, and maybe the quality of the products you use and what have you. And for you to give a number doesn't really go into all that. Doesn't really talk about your quality and what separates you from everybody else. Just a number. Um, so I remember my father-in-law years ago when I was talking about doing floors and whatever, and he would say to me, "Well, why should I hire you?" And I was just trying to give him reasons to hire me, and he goes, "Well, listen, you haven't differentiated yourself from anybody else, so you're just a number to me." So you're right. You could just compare numbers, and it's really unfair to the craftsman, I think, in some ways.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's a good question. I've had that question to me, asked to me before, why should I hire you at this price? And I said, well, I'm the best.
Mhm.
That's how I come back with that. And they're kind of startled by that. But I say, this is what you're going to get. Um, and I think reframing it sometimes to people is key because they don't understand. They think maybe you're just trying to price gouge them and you have to kind of, what I say is look, I'm here not only to provide professionalism and perfection, but I want to protect your investment. And that's kind of how I reframe it. And so then maybe they step back, they have a little aha moment, and then we can take it from there.
All right, Jason, let's go back to the ring ring. We're going to do something that Wayne just loves to do with his guys. He loves role playing. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So I want to hear what you're saying to the homeowner when I call you. Here we go. Ring, ring.
Hi, this is Jason.
Hey, how much you charging for a square foot for install and sand?
So it sounds like that's kind of all that you're concerned about. Is that true?
Yes, I need my floors installed and sanded.
And the square foot price is really your main concern?
No, not really. I want a really good job.
You want a really good job. I understand that. Where is it that you're getting this square foot price
I
from?
called another company before you and they said it was $5 a foot sand and install.
$5 a foot sand and install. That's a really good price. So have they been out to assess your project yet?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Well, I can tell you right now that that's really not how we operate or run the company. So we have hourly skilled installers, and every job is unique in and of itself. And what I like to do is like to come out, I like to see all the variables, talk to you, see what's important, make sure that we mitigate any problems, and really ensure that you're going to get a proper job. Is that something that maybe you're interested in?
Yes, absolutely. I've heard nightmare stories before.
Yeah, they're out there. And is it okay if we charge you a small consultation fee for that?
Does that come off the end if I hire you?
100%. We put that right into the bill.
Okay, I'll
Okay.
set up a date.
So you brought up something else, Jason, I want to talk about. Let's talk about when we get done with this, talk about charging for estimates.
Yeah.
Because you bring up some good points on that too, and we'll discuss that as well. I think one of the reasons why, giving a square foot price, especially over the phone, for heaven's sakes, that we all know that not all square feet are equal. Right? Some areas have intricate designs or different complications around them, complicating factors that there's 300 square feet of a wide open room, then there's 300 square feet of a kitchen on a diagonal and all kinds of little cabinets
And,
and stuff in the way, and it's a whole different
and
world.
not only that, you may have a service elevator. You may have to park, so far away from the project. It could be there's many variables. So when you just shoot that number out there and you commit to that, because they're going to hold you to that. And if you try to backtrack or add things on, man, that just it snowballs from there, and you're starting to lose credibility, in my opinion. But yeah, you're exactly right. There's so many
Well,
variables.
I'll tell you when you got me on that call was when you mentioned variables. I think that's the key. I think that's the way to get yourself into the door because everybody's going to think that they do have some sort of a special project. So I was wondering how you get past that person that is just looking for the square foot price and how do we get in the door?
Well, to be
Because
honest, that
that's when I
yeah,
personally think that's when the real good professionals, that's when we're going to shine. Not really over the phone. It's that let's do this face to face and look at the project and things like that. So that's what I wanted to find out from you on that call was how you switched them into letting you in the door and just not throwing a price at them.
yeah. When somebody calls though and they ask that, that tells me all I almost need to know about that person, right? Not only are they qualifying us, but we're qualifying them. And hopefully you're at a position or a level in your business to where you can do that. I understand some guys are starting out. You got to be hungry. You got to get everything they can. You got to get out there, make a name for yourself. That might be a little bit of different dynamic. But, we don't want every job. We don't want to close 80, 90% of low hanging fruit, shall I say, right? Where we're running around with like a chicken with our head cut off. And at the end of the year, we're looking at our bank account and where's the money? We think we're busier than all get out, rocking and rolling and all this, but man, you're not making any money. So we want to close maybe, 20 to 30% of those A and B customers, right? That are going to treat us with respect and appreciate what we bring to the table and our experience and knowledge, right? So that right there, when somebody asks me right off the bat, what's your square foot? I'm already,
It's a red flag.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly right. So then I go to that next qualifier. Are you okay with a consultation? And usually that's a no,
Yeah.
because they're leading with square foot. And so I'm going to come back around over here and see if they are really the person I want to work with, because I already pretty much know that they're not, based on that first initial question. And so they'll
About
say something.
about
Yeah.
1,000,000 years ago, when Pete and I left my dad's company and started our own thing, of course, we got into the phone book, right? I mean, yeah, it was back in the 80s. So I can see you laughing now, even the mention of a phone book. But of course, in the phone book, we put free estimates. And for an entire year, 80% of my calls were how much a foot, how much a foot, how much a foot. I wasn't smart enough to give him that whole variable thing, and I got to get out there. So, so the next year we took out a phone book ad. I wrote on the bottom of our ad, if you're looking for the cheapest price, please don't call this number. And the guy, I'll never forget the salesman for the phone book. He's like, are you sure you want to put that in there? I go, yeah, I'm absolutely sure I want to put that in there because we're not that guy. And
Yeah.
it's amazing how it cut down in the calls just from putting that in there.
Well, yeah, but you also get more time with your family if you look at
So
it that
I
way.
think I think maybe the best response to that is, on the phone or whatever, what's your square foot price? I think the best response almost is like, if I give you a square foot price, it's a disservice to both of us, to you and I. because I don't know the scope of the job without looking at it. There may be variables, and quite frankly, one of the variables is you, the customer. I got a pretty good what we call a-hole radar. I hope I can get away with that.
Yeah, man.
uh, that from experience, you start to read people pretty well, and that's part of it. But there's so many other things in there. And like I said, if I give you a number, that doesn't mean it. That you don't know my material costs. You don't know what my workers' comp is. You don't know how much I put into training into my guys. That all these other things that I do that gets all lost between that guy's number and my number. It doesn't tell the story. You have to be able to tell the story of why you and why you're different than the next guy, and the square foot price isn't it.
That's right. But you got to be careful there, because then you don't want to get into this whole justification thing. Well, I have this and I have that and I got this and do that. That nobody wants to hear that, and they don't care either, right? You already know where they're coming from, but it's not, they may not know, right? They're an uneducated buyer or customer. They don't really know where they even came up with the square foot price, which brings into question, do you guys even know where that came from, how that came about? You know,
Yeah.
that really comes from the real estate industries a long time ago, where things were priced on the square footage. Well, manufacturers kind of took that, and when in contractors and things like that, when you're calculating things, tile or the surface of a wall for drywall or flooring or and on and on, you coming up with square foot of things, right? Or whatever, yards and things like that. So they tried to simplify it, manufacturers and retail shops over the time, and just kind of gave a quick number to it, right? But that doesn't account for everything, like you said, Wayne. That doesn't account for all your cost of goods sold, right? That doesn't account for your labor. That doesn't account for your overhead. That doesn't account for paying yourself.
Yeah.
And that doesn't account for what profit you want to make at the end of the year. If you want to try and equate that to a square foot price, good luck. Because when somebody calls you and says, "What's your square foot price?" and you say $82,
Mhm.
you're definitely not going to
Yeah.
do any project like that. So um, it doesn't work out. And so guys, I understand guys. See, what happens is you're taught from a guy who does it by the square foot, right? Or the square yard. And that's what you learn. And he learned that from the guy that taught him, or girl, whatever, that taught him or her, and on and on and on. And you don't know how to run a business. Yeah, you can burn a seam, or you can put together a nice pattern floor, whatever it is, right? That you do really well. That's not indicative of understanding your numbers and running the business. And I hate to say it, but most guys don't know their numbers. They're doing bank balance. They're making bank balance decisions, which means is, oh, I just got $10,000 check, killing it. I'm loving it. I'm going to go buy a new laptop and new tires for my truck. Well, dude, you haven't even allocated 30% or whatever the number is you want to do for taxes. You haven't even put money away for, labor and payroll. I mean, right? So these are the things that guys really don't know, and they don't understand. They wonder why they don't have any money, and it sucks, but it takes time to get there. And through podcasts and things out there, hopefully guys can get better and try and learn these things.
Well, on one kind of encouraging thing that I like, I know a lot of second generation flooring contractors that I knew their fathers as well. And we talk, we're all old guys now, and we talk and whatever, and their kids now doing the business. And sometimes we're like blown away, like the kids can actually charge as much as they're charging. Like, holy smokes, I could never, how can you charge that much money? And they can. You know what I mean? Where the father, we came from a generation where, yeah, it was a square foot price, and that's all we knew. We knew no other way to do it. I learned by a great floor man, and I knew other great floor men, and we all charged by the square foot. And now to see the second generation come along, and the first generation is like, holy smokes, I cannot believe what this kid is charging. The other thing too is, especially when it comes to sand and refinish and even install. I mean, there's we could all probably double the size of our business if we could find the labor, right? So, well, that you have a whole lot of work and not enough people to do the work. There's a demand there, and especially you're in Southern California, you're in a hotbed for great craftsmen, hardwood floor men and women, by the way, and you can charge. accordingly. You can charge for these jobs. And I think one thing is getting past that barrier of your own, getting out of your own way. I talked to a guy who said that I don't know, it was Chris Pasquale Freight or someone that was on our podcast that said, I stopped doing estimates because I know too much about my business. Like, okay, well, this week I could probably get by with a little less on this month because it's been a good month or whatever. But when I turned it over to actual guys that do estimating, that I said, here's what our prices need to be. Like they didn't have those filters that I did, and they were charging more money than I was. And so I think that's pretty interesting too, because sometimes we are our own worst enemy. We have to get past that barrier. And I'll give you an example of two is that when I was a young kid, I was afraid to give contracts to people at first. It's like, I don't know. I'm asking for money up front and I'm asking them to sign on this thing and it looks very formal and hey, I'm a good guy and but I felt kind of like I'm posing in a way. Once I got past that, I was like, I wouldn't do a job without a contract for nothing. You know what I mean? Once I got out of my own head and realized there's no way I would do a job without a contract. In fact, since I brought that up, I'll just mention real quickly, there is something called scope creep that you have to be careful of, and that can happen without a contract. By that, mean, what is the scope of the job? The scope of the job is we're going to sand and refinish these floors, blah, 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 in this area, what have you. And then the consumer, the client goes, well, that includes the baseboard, right? You're going to change the baseboard, right? That includes that. Or you can just add this because blah, blah, blah. Or can you just hit these spindles where the job starts to kind of creep on you? You know what I mean? So having a good contract stating what you're going to do and not do also, and the state you live in California, obviously now it's required. At the time when I lived there, any job over $1,000, you had to have a lien, a mechanic's lien on. I don't know if it's the case anymore, but I do think that's a great idea as well.
Yeah. Back to what you're saying, I think it's a mindset. A lot of guys don't value themselves adequately. They don't put enough stock into themselves, and they also feel like, well, if I'm charged this, I'm never going to get any work. I'm never going to get the job, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. Once you believe in yourself and you believe your ability and you have confidence and you know you're a pro and you give really good work and you start to slowly you add 5% onto something, then maybe the next agreement you put together, maybe you add 7% and you start testing these waters. Then you're like, you know what, I'm getting this is awesome, I'm making a few more bucks here. Then that can start to build you up a little bit, give you that confidence that you need, and then maybe you're getting to 9, 12, 15%, and now you're really like, wow, right? So that can kind of, that's what I tell guys that try to say, dude, I'm never going to be able to make any more money. I'm never going to be able to charge that. Well, see, you've already told yourself that, right? So keep telling yourself that and you won't. But if you can slowly change that mindset and start small with small amounts, then, you can definitely get there, because guys don't understand that they have cell phone bills and websites and vehicles and insurance and gas and supplies and sponges and blades and on and on and on and on that you don't account for. So
When you say also devaluing yourself, I'm going to tell you real quick. So I did floors for 30 years, whatever. Rob's done floors for his whole 50 years. He's been in this business. Um, and the thought of myself now bringing a sander from the first floor up to the second floor, get out of here. I'm too old now. So when I was a young kid and I'm 30 years old and I'm a stud and I work hard every day and I'm strong and I can do that, whatever. I don't even think twice about it. But now looking at it from my perspective now as an older guy, I would pay that guy in a heartbeat to do something like that. To be even to carrying furniture out or even to get on my knees and do something, a small something now. My body hurts now, or I'm older now, and I just don't want to do it now. I would pay that guy to do that without even thinking twice about it.
yeah, you
And
nailed it.
but as a young kid, you kind of don't think that because it's second nature to you. Because hey, I'm a strong guy, I could do that. That's value. That's a lot of value in that, and throw the craftsmanship on top of that, and it's worth a lot of money.
And I hate to say it, that's exploited, because there's smarter people in the industry that will take advantage of the younger guys, and they take
Yeah.
advantage of that because they don't know their numbers, they don't know how to price themselves. But So just like what you're saying is you never know how somebody's going to value what you have to offer, right? So maybe you'll buy that painting for $1 million, but Rob's like, that's not where I wouldn't pay a penny for that thing, right? So when people say to me, "Oh, the going rate or the market value and all this stuff," I throw out the window. I say it's the customer creates that value. The customer decides what they're going to pay you or not. Okay,
Yeah.
so maybe somebody doesn't think you're worth that, paying you 5,000 for the job, but actually you could get 9,000 for that job from somebody else.
Yeah.
So so that again, you just don't know. But if you shoot yourself in the foot from the beginning, and you're right though, when you're a young buck you don't think like that. You have other concerns, right? So you're not
Yep.
really, and that comes from somebody just not telling you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did that with my son. My son, grew up in the business, working with me, and he would go on estimates with me, and I was a square foot estimate guy. And now when I see his estimates, and that was the other thing I told him too. You had touched on that. He wanted to get into the sport business when he started, and I said, "No, I'm not gonna. You're not gonna do that. It's too much. It's too much to get into the sport business." I said, "But I'll help you be the most expensive guy in our area." And he said, "That's crazy." I said, "Why?" I go, "You're really good at it. You're fifth generation. You got a great story. You're dust containment. You're really picky about everything." I go, "You're better at this than I ever was." I said, "Just keep bumping your price up every 3 or 4 months, go up another 50 cents, 50 cents." Where he's at now, I tell people and people look at me and they swear I'm lying, okay? But it is amazing how he just kept bumping it up and he said, "I think this is it. I think I finally found," but this was a few years of banging it 50 cents, 50 cents, 50 cents. But the other thing about when you had mentioned variables, it reminded me, I was looking at one of his worksheets that he was building the estimate off of, and he charges for everything: corners, closets, doorways, saddles, threshold, you name it. He doesn't miss anything. And when you mentioned variables, that was the first thing I was thinking about was how he goes about writing his estimates. It is, to me, I just started cracking up. I mean, back in the day, my estimate was, oh, 350, $4 a foot. Here you go. And oh, look at it. Every doorway has a saddle on it. Yeah, well, you know, I
Yeah,
didn't hit you for that. I throw that one in. Think of all the labor on scraping up one saddle. So,
yeah, and so if it took you 2 days, great, you won. If it took you 7 days, you're like, this one sucks, right? So that's the thing. A 1,000 square foot project can take you 4 days, or it could take you 14 days. It really can, right? So does that make sense there? Especially if you have helpers, or you have guys on payroll, you have hourly guys. You have to figure out these man hours. And what guys don't understand is they have to figure out what they're paying themselves. They don't. So what would it cost you to replace you? You see, that's how guys have to think. If I couldn't do this today and I had to hire somebody to come on and run the crews and everything, what's that going to cost me? 25 bucks an hour, 50 bucks, 65 an hour. What's it going to cost? Do that math. Are you paying yourself that? And most guys, they don't. And then they're like, oh my God, they have an aha moment. So that's something you have to figure into those man hours for the day, right? If you got two guys and you got your man hours, you really got three guys. You got you. You have prep phase. That prep phase isn't just prep doing the thing, sanding, conditioning, water popping, whatever the heck you're going to be doing. That's also going to the customer's house, putting out the sample stains that you're going to show and do them, or having conversation with them, estimating. That's all part of that prep. So you have to figure all these hours out. What does it cost? And put all this together, and then you'll be blown away. And then you haven't even put your profit margin that you want on it. And I always aim for 50%. mean, that's just where you got to be or more. Your break even at the end of the month. If guys run their numbers and they write down every little thing that their expenses for the month and they look at that, they're going to go, whoa. And I think what happens is most people are afraid to look at their numbers. They don't want to know their numbers because they don't want to see the truth.
I think there's a lot of truth to that. I wanna back up to something that you said early on that you don't want all the jobs. If you get 20-30% of your jobs, that's good. But so I want to yeah, sometimes when a guy bids a job, for instance, say it's a $10,000 job or whatever, $15,000 job, and you don't get the job. He went with somebody cheaper. I think you have to tell yourself that's not your fault. Like you didn't do something wrong. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of guys go, "Oh man, probably I just bid that too high, maybe or whatever." That's not your fault. That's a business decision. And maybe other guys, you don't want to chase what the other guy did. I mean, who knows how he runs his business? And like
Yeah.
you said, by doing that, you start getting the jobs that you really want that pay the kind of that pay what you want. But I think you have to get past that thinking that shoot, maybe I should go a little bit cheaper, what have you. You got to stick to your guns and know what you're worth and your business is worth and the value
Yeah.
that you bring.
And never go down on your price. Stick to it. Never give a 10% discount. Never give
100%.
a 5%. Never ever do that, because that starts this whole series of events, and psychologically has some issues with the buyer as well. So you don't want to do that. I like to almost lead with price right away. Get it out there. So many guys are so afraid to talk about money. They'll never talk about money. They'll never write the contract. They'll just hope and wish, and they're so afraid, and then they wait to get paid and whatever. Right away, you got to say, what's your budget to do this? And people are, I don't have one. Okay, well, is it $30,000? Oh, no, 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 it's not that. It's not that much. Well, okay, then you have something in mind, right? Is it five to 9,000? Yeah, I think that's about right. So then you're bracketing, and now you can kind of work with that and see where you're at and what you want to bring to them, and maybe you come in at 6K and so
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a good way to go from the beginning if you can get that. A lot of people don't want to disclose their budgets. They won't do that, but
Yeah.
if you bracket it, you can get that out of them. Are you 7 to 9,000, or are you 4 to 8,000?
Correct. Okay. So while I got you here, let's talk a little bit about charging for estimates.
Yeah,
We had a show in the past with Chris Pasquale Freight, owner of Pasquale Floors out of Cleveland, Ohio, who also talked about charging for estimates. And a lot of people don't charge for estimates, so maybe we can touch on that as well while we got you.
sure. So I think I think people are afraid to charge for estimates, and they shouldn't be. They're afraid they're not going to get the job, right? They're um, but again, that's a mindset, and they have to look at this a little bit differently. You know, not only are somebody qualifying you, but you're qualifying them too. Somebody who's just taking advantage of your time, taking advantage of all your knowledge and expertise, and they never maybe were going to go with you in the first place, or they don't end up going with you. So you drive out to the house, all that drive time maybe takes you 30 minutes, 40 minutes, you got gas, you get out there, you're gonna measure everything for them, you're gonna discuss proper products for their house or not, and go through all that stuff, talk about all your years of knowledge and experience right then and there. And then you're going to go home and you're going to take an hour, maybe 2 hours, whatever it takes, to compile this beautiful estimate that has to be perfect and on point. And I like to call it a quote at that point. So a quote, and then you send it over, and that's it. Silence.
Yeah.
Ghost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
What
they've
the hell
taken
happened?
they took your estimate and gave it to the next guy who came in and said, "What do you think?"
Whatever they did with it, there's
I
so
can
many
knock 500 off of that. Yeah.
easily, right? And I'll tell people,
Yes.
what part of the process are you at? Am I the first person you've called? I'll ask them on the phone. Yeah, you are. Okay, tell you what. Why don't you call 3 or 4 places and then circle around back to me, okay? And we can have a conversation.
Well, here's what's happening. Here's what I started to resent. Is this? Okay, I'm going to bid a job. It's a house. They're in the middle of a remodel. I need to go there and do the estimate. So when I get there, I realize it's pretty involved now. I got to go back in my van. I got to get a level. I got to go underneath the house. I got to check for stuff underneath the crawl space. I got to get a flashlight out and do these things. And all the while thinking that something in my gut tells me this guy's not going to go with me.
And you knew it.
But here's the thing. If I don't do my due diligence and I send in the bid, let's say I win the bid, but I felt like, oh, well, at the time, I didn't want to take all that time to do all these things because I'm not sure I'm getting a job or not. Then I win the bid. Now there's doubt in my mind. Gosh, I wonder if there is plastic underneath the crawl space. These other
Yeah.
things that you know what I mean. So it's a damned if you do and damned if you don't. I think that's a great reason for charging for estimates. That you can take the time to be thorough and do your due diligence and walk around, do the whole thing, and have a conversation with them. And the other thing about that conversation with them is you really can get out in the open of what their needs are, what their expectations are. You can take the time, what have you, and you're getting paid for your time. There's nothing worse than feeling that like you're getting taken advantage of, or you're getting cheated out of your time, or you're just a time suck or whatever. And especially as a young contractor, you get taken advantage of a lot. I still remember jobs, man, from this. I'm 64 years old now, of when I was in my early 20s, when people took advantage of me. Those things sting, okay? Those things hurt. So, Rob and I talk about on our podcast what we wanted is for people, there's a zone in your career where you're making the
Yeah.
most money. There's a learning curve where things are hard, you're learning and what have you. And then there's a zone in your career, maybe it's 10 years, 20 years, or whatever, that you make the most possible income that you can make for as long as you can. And on the podcast, what we try to do is help people get into that zone as quick as they can and stay there as long as they can. So I think so. That's
We
where
do.
our experience and
That
your experience,
that's what we do.
yeah,
I wasn't
is
really sure. Oh, okay.
well, it's agreeing with
I know it's
some,
only been 7 years, so
yeah.
I wasn't positive of really what we're trying to
Yeah, I
accomplish.
gotta remind you from time to time.
We're trying to get into the zone. Okay. All right, that. I'm gonna give you a bell for that one. Perfect. Hey, Jason, I know Wayne just will not stop talking. I have to interrupt to get what's been your feedback when you're telling people I can come out do an estimate, but I'm going to charge?
Oh, the other guy's free. I say not a problem. Just keep my information. Google me. I can, if it's via email or something, I can send them a link so they can learn more about us or whatever. I'm like that. Maybe I offer them, you know, some kind of a literature piece on PDF or a video, whatever. But I'm okay with that. That's fine. I've learned to finally let that go over the years.
So that's really going to take the tire kickers away, I think.
Yeah, that's right. That's what we want. We don't, because those are actually end up being the most annoying customers. Those are the ones you're calling you back for everything. Always this, always that. Oh my God, you're not making any money anyways. Now they're calling you back. You have all these it's a whole thing, man. And those are nightmare customers. The people that pay you what you're worth, where you can do your prep phase, you can do the installation phase, do the thing. You can do cleanup phase, right? You have time to clean up, detail the house really nice, you're finishing strong as you're getting paid. Because you can do everything the right way, hang your hat, feel good. You have a day, maybe even or two before the next project. You finish strong. You made some money. Now you can segue right in to the next one. You're not stressed. You're not rushing. You got the next job. You're not making any money on this one. You're already irritated. Now they want more. It's a whole thing. So the way to
So I
filter
know you
out.
said you wanted to close 20 to 30%,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
The people who pay for the estimate, I would think that it's going to be a lot higher than 20 or 30%.
That I'm talking about that you can close, that those are they're going to pay. You'd be surprised. Actually, so I've found that some that pay the estimate, they don't surmount.
No kidding.
Really strange, right? How that is.
But at least you got paid for your time then.
Well,
I mean, that's the other side.
If you don't get the job, that's how you look at it. You look at it as like,
Yeah.
Look, I didn't get wasted. But it's not about the money. That's what I say. If somebody's willing, they've already qualified to be the right customer, right? Maybe an A and B customer. If they're willing to pay that I don't care if it's $500 or $5. I've gone out and I haven't even charged somebody. I said, and those are the ones I get. So what will happen is I'll go out there and they'll say, well, how do I pay you for that? And I go, you know what? It's no charge. They look at me, wow. And I go, yeah. And I send the estimate and I get that job. You know why? Because I've already qualified them. I don't, because that tells them it's not about the money, really. It's just about our working together, right? And we become amateur psychologists. We deal with so many personalities in this business, so many behaviors that you can smell them, you can sniff them out. And so when the first thing they're asking you on the phone, what's your square foot price? Well, you've seen this song and dance. You know who this is. You know what you're dealing with. I'm 6 months out.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
worst thing that is that you're too busy. Or they want a quick price and you want to throw something out there real quick. They got 1,000 square feet. I got furniture, single level. I want sand and refinish. It's, whatever, right? They give you some variables. I want, this stain and things like that. Boom, 10K. Do you like that? Are you cool with that? Yeah, I'm okay with that. All right, you know what? I'm going to come out and we can take this farther. I've done that where I've qualified them like that. And they still didn't go with me. So I lost in that because you roll the dice on that.
Yeah.
But that's also materialized as well. So I always say, because I'm on Yelp and Google, and those are the tire kicking people. The referral ones, if you just finished a really nice project and you got paid really good and they referred you to a colleague of theirs or a neighbor or whatever, hey, you're already qualified.
Yeah.
You're already good to go. You can just go and do that for free. And I do. I'm all good. That's a network, man. That's WOMA. That's word of mouth advertising. That's beautiful, right? It's the other people that are just going to waste your time that you have to qualify.
Yeah.
That's what we really stress that in all the bonus schools and training is the referral money is the sweetest because they already know the price. They've that referral, that was the first thing they asked or the
In
first
fact, you
thing
charge
they were
them
told.
more.
Right. Exactly.
Just to be clear, Jason, so when you charge for the estimates and you get the job, do you then just take that off of as far as they know, take that off of the bill?
Yeah, it's seen as a discount there.
Yeah. Okay.
$95 on a $30,000 project.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Wayne would pay that back in ones. Here you go.
Yeah.
Like Monty Hall.
But so
yeah, so there's a perception of it being greedy to some people. They got, oh, this guy wanted to charge me for coming out. I think it's very understandable. And like I said, you cut out a lot of people that you don't want to deal with anyhow.
That's right. And that's money back. That's time. What's our most valuable asset?
Yeah.
Time. Not
Time.
your truck or not your nothing. Time with your family on this earth. And that's all we have, right? So if you can save 8 hours a week, 17 hours a month, whatever it is adds up to, that's real stuff, right? And you're still making money and more. So 30% of higher paying clients and the right clientele, A and B customers versus 70, 80, 90, 100% of these, D and F customers, forget it. So.
And there's so many times in the evenings, 5 or 6 o'clock, when the other guys are out taking their kids to a ball game, and you're out giving a free estimate to somebody that you're not getting, and time and time again, you add up all those hours at the end of the year. It's a long time.
And one thing I'll mention is you got to be able to deliver, right? As well. You can't be a knucklehead thinking that you're going to charge this and that, and you can't deliver because that's not sustainable. You'll be done, So you really got to be on point, be the best you can, and really strive to be excellent and separate yourself from the competition and everybody else, right? And that's with training, going to Bona classes, and various other manufacturer training out there as well.
I hate to give Wayne his props, but every once in a while you have to. I think that role playing is really going to help. If you're one of the guys who is just giving the price on the phone when somebody asks the price, you got to practice that a little bit. So
that's right.
You got to be really, that one's got to go smooth. I
That's
think.
right.
So
That's
maybe
right.
sitting down with a spouse or a friend or family or something and just going through the questions that they could pop up into their head. Maybe a little practice is going to help you get in the door because that was my thing. I mean, if I can get in the door, I'm going to do pretty good. And I think
And
everybody is like that. We're much better face to face in the door, looking at the project and like you said, seeing the variables and everything. But sometimes it's tough to get past that phone call, I think, for some guys. So maybe a little practice, a little role playing with people face to face is always going to help.
you gotta do that. I know we're running on time soon, but I got one more story real quick. I remember showing up to measure a flooring project many years ago, and I got there about 7 minutes early. And the lady said, I gotta go. I leave. Can you make this quick? Yeah, yeah. It's just living room and hallway. I'll measure this real quick. So I got my tape out. I got that going. And she goes, I'm right now have such a problem with the electrician. I'm suing him. And then the plumber, I'm in a lawsuit with the plumber.
It could be quicker.
My tape measure zipped up so fast you wouldn't believe it. I was out of there. I just sent her an email. I said, "Thank you so much for the opportunity, but I'm going to have to respectfully decline this project."
Yeah. Amen.
So
I'll,
you
I'll
got
leave
to
us.
meet people. You got to get to those projects too.
There you
And
go.
adversely, you could think something's bad, and then you get out there and it really blossoms into something.
Well, here the other thing too is you might get a phone call from one of the spouses and get along great. And I don't know what it is about life, man, but there's so many times when there's like one of them is great, the other one's evil. You know
Well,
what I
they
mean?
use that too. That's why it's important to have both parties. Are
Yeah.
both parties going to be there? Are the both decision makers, is what I'll say, going to be there when I come out? Because they could be so much farther apart on price and things, and then they'll use it. Well, I need to talk to my husband, or I need to talk to my wife, and
Yeah.
gosh,
Yeah. I'll leave it with this. And I say this all the time, and I'm going to repeat it all the time. I don't care because I do think it's so important. Um, that estimate that you do with that homeowner, that 20 minutes or an hour that you spend with them, is the difference sometimes at the end of the year, like we had an okay year, we did okay, or we killed it this year. That that presenting yourself to in that time period of giving your best foot forward and getting the most money you can from that job, and I think that requires practice
yeah,
and getting your rap down and getting in really, and it's not a sales thing. It's just well, I guess it is, but you got to sell yourself. And you want to say why you're the person and why you can charge this much money. And I feel bad for some people where English isn't a first language for them when I know this guy's a great craftsman, but I know it's not getting out there. So sometimes show pictures of your work. You know what I mean?
portfolio.
Portfolio, thank you. A portfolio of jobs that you've done goes miles and what have you. So that hour that you take or that time you have with the clients, that's the time because you can't chase a bad bid. I don't care how hard you work. If it's a bad bid, you could be the fastest, hardest working guy in town, and ain't no fun, even if you can catch up to a bad bid. But that's your time to make as much money as you can and to really present yourself well on these estimates.
Pictures and portfolios are great too. You know what else is really good that I think really helps is testimonials.
Testimonials, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Testimonials. We would put a lot of testimonials in. Sometimes people would know the person that gave the testimonial. So
Yeah,
I think testimonials is another thing to add to that portfolio. That really helps too.
yeah.
Real
Thank
ones, not the fake ones that Wayne would have made up for him.
Of
Yeah,
course.
Real
that's right.
people.
Or maybe you have a
Yeah,
video of each three or four different types of projects, and in between coming out, you send that to them. Hey, take a
yeah.
look at this before I come out. They're going to see you. They're going to see what it's about, and that's going to strengthen. Um,
That's a great idea before you even get there.
yeah,
Yeah, good.
just send out a little something that says, "Here, this is who I am. This is what we do. Check it out. I'll see you Tuesday at 4,
Yeah.
whatever."
Mhm.
Good call. Hey, listen, Jason, you've been fantastic. You've been a great guest. You come with, I respect you highly because I do follow the Facebook page and you're a
Ah,
wealth of information, man. You have a lot of credibility with a lot of people in this industry.
thanks.
You have a lot of passion for what you do, and the industry needs guys like you, man. So if you want to give out your information, I don't know if you do or not. It's up to
Yeah,
you.
you can reach me at the Floor Pro at gmail.com. You can also text or call me with any questions anytime at 949-355-3501.
Very cool. Thank you for being on. It's been a pleasure, man.
Awesome. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Good deal. And this has been another episode of On the Floor with Wayne and Rob and Jason Ramsay. Please stay tuned for another episode.